Sup all, I'm GamePro03. Today we're going to be going over the combat log and how to build it and sort of the secrets that can be revealed with the combat log, especially with kind of the granularity of how it works, okay? Especially to catch people who are like hacking or teleport hacking or turning in stuff in DS and Diamond Shores, you know, with the whole Onyx teleport hacker thing. I've PM'd so many people to try to get names of like at least who's doing it so that I could also watch for it, but nobody has the names of these things because nobody even knows how the combat log works, apparently. So I had to make a video about it like super quick, alright? So, combat log. It's very, very important. It shows lots of good information. For example, all the damage dealt, all the buffs and debuffs, but exactly how to set it up can be a little bit confusing. So we have a tab pulled out here that hopefully you guys will be able to see just fine. Currently this tab has no settings in it. And so we're going to just go over this. So if you right-click on the tab name and go to tab settings, you'll have tons of good information here of just tons of things, right? And so the one that we're going to be looking at here is the combat tab on the left side. So here we can set exactly what this combat log is for, whether it's going to be just for myself or other people also doing stuff, okay? Basic attacks, damage in general, misses, and even what color they show up as. What skills show up, so damage skills, miss, you can actually see when misses occur. Heal, mana regen, which doesn't capture regular mana regen, but actually just skills that give mana regen, such as that one Healing Him version, and I think that's like probably it nowadays. There's also buffs and debuffs, which is extremely important. Environmental damage, and when people die, which is weird and sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. I don't understand the dead thing. But anyways, regardless, there's tons of options here you can customize it. To give you a couple of examples, I have two combat logs. Actually, technically three I use. The first one is this, a combat log for everyone, which just has literally everything checked and some stuff like misses and buffs and everything in different colors so that I can see them better in my own combat log, okay? So that's one of mine. The other one that I have is the exact same thing, except it's just for me. I've turned off the others button, but everything else is exactly the same. This helps me better see what's happening and affecting just me, okay? Now these are pretty much the two ones I use. I have a third one that I actually call buffs, and I only use it just to see buffs, and that's it for everyone that's around that isn't me. And I use this to catch people who are hacking or teleporting around, okay? So for this particular tab, I just have others and buffs set, and that's literally how I play it, okay? Now you can already see, hey, the Huda Cult's summoners are using the Retribution buff, okay? But that's not it. You have to actually configure this to work at all. To do that, you have to go to the options under Game Info, and if you scroll all the way down, you have a bunch of information here in sliders, right? So we have damage heal info, and we have damage heal distance, okay? These also affect the combat log. So right now I have it set to all. If I set it to self, you'll see that I can't actually see them casting the spell anymore because that is set to just myself in the game info tab, okay? So setting that to all is very important. And then here you can also set distance. So you can set, you know, within nearby people or just what I do and just set it to 100 meters. So literally everyone within 100 meters is displaying whatever damage is happening, whatever environmental effects are happening. You know, buffs and debuffs are all very, very important to see, and you'll be able to do that from this tab. So once this is all set, you can then go ahead and see all the people within 100 meters doing any kind of buffs. This is how people find stealthers, because when you stealth, you will actually get Bloodthirst stacks every second, and that does appear every second in the combat log. And so if I set this to self in the middle here, you'll see here's my Bloodthirst stacks that I'm gaining every second. And if this was somebody just within 100 meters stealth somewhere, this is how you know, hey, someone around me is actually stealthed, right? It's one of the ways to know that somebody around you is actually stealthed. So use this especially to catch those hackers or people who are, you know, teleporting to the Diamond Shores turn-ins, because now you can actually use this to get the name, right? In order to turn in a pack, you have to get rid of an overburdened buff on yourself or debuff on yourself, right? And so when you get rid of a buff or a debuff, it will appear in the combat log. It'll be very obvious there that it's occurred, okay? And just to give another example of that, so I've given it the instinct buff, and it was struck by it, and then instinct goes away. You can see that the buff is cleared, right? The instinct debuff is cleared. It's the exact same thing that would happen when an overburdened pack is removed off of a character. You would see it in the combat log, as long as the combat log is configured to show others and buff/debuff, okay? This is just overall very, very useful because you can actually remove yourself out of combat if you're confused about something that happened, and you can look back and see, okay, what happened in this combat? What affected me? Maybe the opponent had Life Tiger Strike, and that's why I wasn't able to crowd control them, because they have immunity to crowd control, and I just used my CC right when they were doing it, you know? There are little things that happen in the game way too often, and a lot of it has gone missed or unnoticed because you don't have a proper combat log set up, and then you're just confused about what happened. But a combat log is extremely powerful for learning more about the game, and hopefully this will help give you a better idea of how this works, and you can set up some for yourself as well. Thanks, everybody.